Man, that song was shorter than I thought. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat Vengeance. Last time, we just went through the prologue, and the Wuxi Academy was under assault by the Deadly Alliance consisting of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. In the early morning, while Liu Kang was training, he was the first warrior to arise and arrive at the Wuxi arena where he was attacked. And he was nearly killed, but Raiden actually saved his soul through a dragon amulet he created while he was an elder god. And so, he abandoned his position as an elder god and became the protector of Earth once more, as well as Liu's guardian over his soul. And Kung Lao, Nightwolf, and Aiko surveyed the damage. So, the first chapter is just going to stir the pot for what's to come. And I had this awesome idea. What if Liu Kang's spirit wasn't imprisoned by Shang, but actually helped Kung Lao, who was supposed to be the main man of Deadly Alliance? So, let's get this thing going, shall we? Alright, continuation 1, the Shaolin Guest and Host. Moments later from the intrusion by the Deadly Alliance, several monks had mourned over their idol's fate as they saw his lifeless body sprawled out, although it was a lot harder for Aiko, Kung Lao, and Raiden to cushion the blow and prove Liu's soul was intact inside the dragon amulet, thus giving them a sort of cultural shock. Thankfully, it didn't take long for them to readjust when hope smiled upon them. They soon carried Liu Kang's corpse, and Kai was indeed one of the pallbearers, while the former champion's humble grandfather only helped his fellow monks to load his grandson's body onto a covered stretcher. A tomb shall be built in his honor, but... Oh, wrong voice. A tomb shall be built in his honor, but it must be somewhere hidden, someplace safe in case of another invasion. Just then, his mind flashed back to Khan's extermination squads and evacuating to the Dragon Grotto. Then a few years back to 92, the moment when Liu returned from America. Yeah, well actually, a few years back to 92... to the moment, after the first tournament, when the monks had to relocate Chance, his younger brother's body, after he was slaughtered by Shang Tsung in the courtyard near the Temple of Light. This was sort of like deja vu in this case. Actually, this is a flashback scene to, the first Mortal Kombat film.
Is this the place?
Yes. This is where we found his body.
What happened?
After you left for America, he followed in your footsteps, preparing for the tournament.
Grandfather, it wasn't enough you filled my head with that nonsense.
To save the world is not nonsense.
Men fighting in a simple contest don't decide these things, Grandfather. How can you, a wise man, believe this?
We all believe in it, including your brother.
His mind returned to the present as Raiden broke his reverie. We shall be taking Liu's body to the same place where his brother's body is held, within the distant wood, where not even Shang Tsung would dare to tread. I had already assigned Nightwolf to use his shamanistic skills and protect this sacred site, like he did to his past home on the East Coast. However, being that Liu's the former champion, he laid a frail hand on the man's shoulder, I suggest a tomb specially made for him. Just like with our ancestors. Right. The responsibilities on stopping the Deadly Alliance and avenging Liu Kang is now unto you, Kung Lao. What? Why me? He's right, Kung Lao. The amulet spoke with its jade eyes flashing, took it out from his chest pocket. As my closest Shaolin brother and former champion, So too with our ancestor, the great Kung Lao. You shall be my own personal retainer. Prestigious descendant was flabbergasted, as was Aiko. What? From now on, my fate rests within your hands. Do not let Shang Tsung claim my soul. I know this may be a heavy burden, but you know I'll be with you. I shall not be heavy. I am your Shaolin brother, after all. Guess the reference. Although this actually made Aiko smirk, knowing the punchline. Kung Lao, please! You have to stop them and make sure my master's fate is safe. If you can put our ancestors to rest, then you are certainly capable of putting Liu's soul at ease too. This is your chance to be his equal now. Kai was just too emotional to make the mission, so he volunteered to establish Liu's services with the other monks. And Kai has a very minor role here, but this is the only time you'll see him. That last statement actually made Lao take a jolt, remembering his angst on desiring to be even in strength, stamina, and skill, and finally freeing his ancestors after the trifecta of fatal battles within Khan's arena. This actually created a warm burning feeling in his heart. I will, Kai. I promise you all. The other monks wished him good luck and pleaded to succeed in saving Liu Kang's lost spirit, as well as Earthrealm in the long term. Nightwolf, however, was going over the security footage across the arena, which showed Shang Tsung's disguise, and the assault joined by Quan Chi. However, by the time the lightning storm hit, every camera over it and near the premise went out like candles. The sensors were unable to record any further activity due to them being fried. The Matoken sighed. Seems the surveillance has been shot, Kiba. Over the attack, Quan Chi before Raiden's intervention. I know how you must be feeling, dealing with both of our nemeses again. I believe they escaped from the Netherrealms somehow, to have their revenge over Liu Kang, besting our hero in cold blood. I'm not going to let them dominate all the realms. This can't be the time to focus on repairs, nor our despairs. Liu Kang depends on us. His companion affirmed this by letting out a sharp bark. Lao alerted Kung Jin's mom via phone line in Mandarin as he and Aiko started packing within his chamber. Being it was around 8 a.m., Jin was already attending school. She wished Aiko and Lao good luck and reminding the cardiokinetic to take her beet vitamins every twice a day. The vengeful Oriental also suggested to never brief Jin on Liu Kang's death, unless if the hero should fail and won't return after a week being gone. He ended the landline, and within 40 minutes the couple made the necessary preparations. To the former monk, this did remind him of those same precautions before he and Liu headed to Outworld, albeit less hastily, in reference to Shaolin monks. About an hour had passed when the three combatants rendezvoused back at the Wuxi arena, with Raiden expecting them. Are you all prepared? His soldiers confirmed. I have appointed my brother Fujin, the current guardian of Earthrealm, to rally our distant companions before they shall approach Outworld. Because I relinquished my status as Elder God, I'm still powerless there. I was afraid you'd say that. Just like in his last expedition, Shaolin monks. That is, if we should gather all our allies. Where should we be until then? In the meantime, we will gather at Shang Tsung's island. It's less likely he would be there, as his powers manifest in Outworld. Shang Tsung's island? Isn't it in Outworld? Or Earthrealm? It's actually a little bit of both, Aiko. Do you remember infiltrating it, Kung Lao? For a few moments, his mind flashed back on him ambushing Shang and his cronies while being disguised as one of the spearmen, as you'll see in the intro, then breaking his cover and enlisting himself in the tournament before Shang self-destructed his turf, and the monks were unable to escape till they reached a portal past a giant waterfall, which you'll face your first mini-boss. Yes, but where is it exactly? It's between Earthrealm and It's between Earthrealm and Outworld, Liu Kang's voice chimed. Lao took out the dragon head again. It's not entirely a part of Earth, but rather in the Lost Sea. I'm sure you recall the ship heading there through a portal, right? With all that calamity and Shang declaring, "It has begun!" Those haunting words rang in their minds. Come, we must head to the Isle's ruins post-haste. I will make a portal leading to it. Hurry now! He did just that with minimal effort. Well, there's no going back now. I can turn tail and run, as long as you guys are here. We must get going. Nightwolf and Aiko nodded, and he was the first to leap into the portal. The beach was balmy, and the sky was clear when the quintet emerged. Aiko stumbled because she wasn't as used to traversing through portals, unlike Raiden, who stood firmly. Despite the large heap of rubble in the distance, the oriental flags remained. Raiden urged Nightwolf to make a bonfire while Lao and Aiko kept a sharp eye for any enemies. Thankfully, everything was still. The Thunder God watched their backs, but he seemed to be deep in thought. The fresh bonfire's flames turned green, courtesy of Nightwolf to begin a ritual. Kung Lao. His face fell in dread. This is a very dangerous procedure, highly unorthodox if done voluntarily. But due to you having close, trusting ties with your Shaolin brother, it may not be as diminishing. Liu Kang, what you're about to perform is unlike many mortals has ever done. Your spirit must merge with Kung Lao's vessel. Nightwolf was more intrigued than frightful. I've seen this happen before, though it's been hardly done because of the mounting consequences. Well, aside from me, of course. Possession is very risky to both the host and the curious spirit. Raiden, that means I need to be unconscious, right? In order for Liu Kang to enter me? Yes, the body must share only one consciousness. However, it must be done temporarily, as the foreign spirit would cause long-term damage if not handled properly. This didn't reassure Lao in the slightest. His mentor tried to show some comfort. Do not fret. I will monitor Liu Kang's spirit and your body. However, since you are the retainer, you must undergo this training. Besides, 2 separate heads aren't always better than one. Lao just hung his head, trying to clear it as he processed this unusual undertaking. What must I do? Lie down. As he did, Aiko took out a folded sleeping bag, allowing Lao to lay on his back and rest his head comfortably. Remain still and close your eyes as you'd start to meditate. Liu Kang, enter Kung Lao's body. The dragon amulet shall be facing the host. Before Lao remained idle, he took out the golden head and laid it on his chest facing him. Liu's spirit was able to see him through the pair of clear orb windows. Now, envision Kung Lao. The mind must overcome matter. The monk stepped closer and he performed that stunt. Images of his rival flashed through it. Before he knew it, his green essence emitted from the amulet and went into Lao, as if it was carried by a current. Good. You will feel some discomfort, Kung Lao, but do not be alarmed. After Liu's green streak entered Lao's body, his arm began to ripple. He felt tense while his shell was being entered through. He began to panic as he lost control over his being while also feeling an out-of-body experience. Raiden stated the body must share one consciousness only, that being Liu's. Lao grew nervous when he grew more powerless until his body collapsed and remained motionless as if he passed out. Aiko rushed over to his side, though Raiden urged her to stay put with Nightwolf, who didn't seem fazed. Moments later, Lao's body rose little by little, albeit groggy and sluggish, as it was Liu testing his host. Slowly he stood up by his firm hands and feet with his eyes remaining shut. By the time Lao's vessel went completely upright, he ascended his head, and his eyes shot open, then narrowed, showing fiery pupils, while Lao's was mixed with Liu's, creating a more neon amber hue. After some basic katas, Liu immediately got to work. Whether it be kicks, rapid punches, and other complex combos, Lao's body moved normally. No traces of distortion, not even translucence, nor slipping. At the same time, Liu remembered Lao's abilities while doing his usual training. He even attempted his signature hat throw, in which he used Lao's mind to draw it back. He repeated only for it to be a flaming hat, then conjuring it back and putting it out the fire. This intrigued the spectators, watching him every spectacular move. Raiden was impressed on the former champion mastering both... not now. Raiden was impressed on the former champion mastering both arrow and pyrokinesis simultaneously. Excellent! Both fire and wind working together, as flames shall not be conjured without oxygen and working in sync by nature. Liu also envisioned on Kung Lao's tornado kick, in which he performed one spinning rapidly, even conjuring a basic funnel which nearly blew out the bonfire and Nightwolf and Aiko off their feet. Remembering the maneuver, he tipped and commanded his hat, causing the usual spiral. Raiden stated to use his mind, utilizing both skills from observing Lao and using his knowledge and consciousness. He did, conjuring a funnel of air and fire. Raiden stated oxygen works together, creating flames, which it does. Lao's vessel seemed to have warmed up as Liu entered it, allowing it to use his pyrokinesis and other moves. Liu was astonished he can still use his own abilities, including the flying and bicycle kicks, and his pyrokinesis, which had that airy effect. Well, aerosol. The most difficult move, though, was indeed Lao's teleport, in which Raiden encouraged to use his mind and his hat to warp behind the opponent. At first he failed using Liu's own teleport with his eyes shut, but using his hat and visualizing, he managed to teleport through the sand and behind one of the old palm trees, albeit a few feet away. The Thunder God urged for him to warp and attack from the air with Lao's teleport kicks, even when he flipped and kicked multiple times onto another trunk till it fell. Remembering Liu's observation of Lao, it took a few trees to master that technique. A few tries. Even when he made a punch to the ground from aloft. Liu noticed, startled as he covered Lao's mouth, that their voices were intermixed during their war cries. Raiden stated since Lao's still the host, their voices became audible as one. After a while, when Liu reviewed Lao's maneuvers, Raiden urged him to return to his amulet. He took it out, and the god stated he must envision it in his mind as his spirit's returning point. He concentrated until that image appeared in his shut eyes vividly. Raiden told Liu to lie down and hold the relic, while subconsciously commanding his astral form to return. Through green energy emitting from Lao's body, it did. The vessel became limp afterwards, as if he fainted again. Nightwolf and Aiko scrambled to his sides, calling his name. There was no response, nor movement as he grew pale. Raiden stepped closer and kept encouraging Lao to wake up and break free from his unconsciousness, to follow his mentor's voice guiding him through the darkness. Lao's eyes fluttered as he let some weak groans, his head moving from one side to the next, his hand wrinkling to a loose fist. By the time his sight cleared, he noticed his teacher and Aiko over him. As if from a nightmare, Lao bolted up and breathed rapidly with his heart racing. How are you feeling? Are you all right? Kiba went and licked Lao's face several times. The former monk calmed a little, especially when Aiko hugged him. I lost control over my mind and body. I felt my soul leaving, and everything turned dark. And I can almost envision myself performing Liu Kang's moves. I wish I could do the bicycle kicks and flying kicks by myself. They were difficult to pull off while I was... Lost his train of thought. Raiden warned Liu mustn't stay in him for long, otherwise there can be irreversible consequences wearing it. Moreover, Lao himself would possibly be in the void permanently. He grew terrified, but the Electromancer assured it's the only way to confuse and destroy the deadly alliance. The second Chinese warrior could have sworn his muscles and mostly his head began to ache from the strain. Oh good, I'm almost done. Through drinking some herbal tea to relieve his pains, Lao hallucinated minutes later, as if his brain was beginning to swell. He held his head as he moaned and squeezed his eyes shut, as if his mind was trying to resist them. From Liu Kang dying at the Wuxi arena, that scene worsened in conjunction with the stress, to the point on Lao hollering. It seems both martial artists have retained memories from their separate entities. A major side effect of the host sharing the guest, Raiden warned. He, Aiko, and Kiba kept tending Lao, while Nightwolf remained steadfast. It's as if in order to become one entity, they must share traits with each other. There's transmitting their thoughts into one another, like magnets but are repelling from each other. The gentle breeze dancing flames in the ocean waves gave Lao some comfort, external sources aside from his compatriots. The Indian finally stepped in. Kung Lao, I know it's going to take some time and skill, and luck, to work the two entities as one. But you two have a common cause. You can use that to start out with. Instead of having your spirit reject Liu Kang's. Let your spirit share your experiences, but wield them cohesively. It is temporary, so no pressure. I will give you some time to train yourself more with Liu Kang's spirit, and him to do the same, until Fusion shall gather the other warriors. But remember, time is of the essence. Yes, I know there's supposed to be 4 victories, thus 4 medals in Liu's upcoming temple. However, he only won 3 straight victories, from the first tournament to the second and Khan's invasion, with the 4th competition won by the gods, Raiden and Fusion, as you'd seen in my previous epic, and thus reversing Liu's eternal curse. I also threw in an Easter egg referring to Chan's death from the OG film, which seemed like deja vu, since Liu had also been killed by Shang. Another element will be introduced later to make another recollection. Possession may be a scary thing, but not always. I thought it was an awesome idea to have Liu Kang's prowess intermixed with Kung Lao's. Kinda reminds me of Gotenks or Gogeta, even though they're technically fusions, and I always like seeing the Shaolin monks working as one, and as a bromance, like Raiden said. Sometimes 2 heads aren't always better than 1, especially if they're separated. Hell, I did that before in my missing episodes, The Sleepy Hollow, as the witnesses. Ichabod and Laura Thomas did a sort of battle bond to outmaneuver the Headless Horseman, which he has no head, ironically. Besides, I definitely see Liu Kang and Kung Lao is Liu's retainer, as he's his utmost rival, nearly matching his skills. Very close to being his equal even in the games, and being his closest and most trustful Shaolin brother. It's just like what True Underdog Gaming said. Lao is like the Vegeta to Liu as Goku during the greatest downfall. That's the most perfect analogy between them, and especially with the fusions. Also, just like in my last epic, I didn't really have much of a role to give Kai, especially since he was cut in this game and probably won't return till Armageddon, sadly. Maybe if I should stir deception, he might have a better shot? Well, no. Actually, I didn't have any ideas for Kai. So, Final Combat would have to do. And here are the songs for that. So Raiden shall train Kung Lao, the host, with the spirit of Liu Kang, the guest, who would give both Shaolin a power boost, much like Nightwolf does with Kiba. They have until Fujin, Sting, and Earthrealm gather the other combatants for the journey through Outworld, and the fateful battle against the Deadly Alliance. So, stay tuned for that. Until then, this is the Ikran Rider signing out. See you guys later.